Welcome to a new Paradigm of Education podcast. I'm your host, Monique Sayers, and today we have some very special guests with us. Their names are Goodson and Julie Ferris. I can't wait to introduce them to you, but first I'll explain about our podcast. So, a new Paradigm of Education is a channel that came through my body about a year ago. It was a wake-up call for humanity and a wake-up call for myself as an educator and a parent to really step into my sovereign power and to empower everybody to be able to channel information to help our children of the world. It was a gift that came through me, and it was so strong I didn't know what to do with it all except to move into this place of surrender and then pure collaboration. And what I have found through this space of myself being able to really embody the energy of a paradigm, which is just this dance of allowance and flow, is that from there's been just fantastic, amazing schools and centers and people that I've been connecting with that are all also on the same mission and vision, because this is not my vision. This is not anything that has to do with me. You know, I'm just a conduit of this, and I'm here to really support the children of the world. And the whole collective vision is what is going to empower them, what is for their highest good. And what are we as humans, you know, whoever we are, parents, educators, mentors, beings on this earth, what are we going to do to contribute and to really rise up into this new paradigm of education together? So this has led me to these two amazing souls that I've met. As I've mentioned, their names are Julie and Karen, and the words gateway to avatar, is that not enough to excite you? It is for me. It was like a whole being response, like, yes, wow, I cannot wait to co-create a new earth with these beautiful beings, and just to hear their imprint on the world of what they're doing. So I'll just introduce them a little bit, and then I'll allow them to introduce themselves. So Julie and Karen believe that star children need to help to connect with the human experience. And one way to do this is through a profound connection with the earth. The earth is our school, our teacher, our heart, our home. This environment will enable these star children and young adults to find the avatar within, bringing the skills and knowledge they bring from their cosmic lives down to earth. They feel that there are many high vibrational young people who can help to connect the human experience, that are very talented and connected to their spiritual aspects, more so than the human, thus finding life here on earth somewhat challenging, which has led them both into their own journeys and their own stories, which I'd love to first start with. Maybe just people can understand your background and understand how you got to this point, and then we can go from there. So who would like to share first this morning?
First, Julie?
Oh, you can go first, Karen, if you want.
Okay, hi, I'm Karen. I'm 61 now, so I'm sort of at a different career point, shall we say. I've had many careers working in financial services, health and social care, teaching people who've been failed by the various school systems. So teaching English and maths as a basic skill. I suppose focusing on people who've been isolated by society, who've been excluded. So that would be people who maybe consider they have mental health, or society who deems them to have social issues or mental health issues. And I've become passionate about it's just that society that disables people. That's what disturbs me, really, that we live in a world where if you're slightly different, you're considered odd, or there's something wrong with you, rather than it's society that's wrong. So for years I have visioned the new earth, I suppose, paradise, a whole new way of being, which is not a new way of being, it's how we've always been, how we're connected to the earth, we are part of the earth, that people are people and we connect from the heart, from the soul. And I had my children 20 odd years ago, and both of them, they identified themselves as neurodiverse. I'd never labeled them as such. And because they're just different, and they have, they're unique. And that's what Julie and I met a couple of years ago, and our visions merged, didn't they, Julie? And that's when Gateway to the Avatar in You was born, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Julie?
Yeah. Well, I'm 50 this year, so I've had a few careers as well in teaching and in mainstream schools and in the police service within child protection. And I think whilst in the police service, I saw the amount of mental health issues and isolation that some people go through, children, obviously, and adults. And I did want a more holistic way of helping people. Then I had kind of a very big life-changing circumstance happen to me, and I completely went down the different path of, first of all, mindfulness, and then more into energy work. And then when I met Karen, obviously, like she said about our shared vision, and having my son as well 9 years ago, I like to call him uniquely gifted because he's very, very special and teaches me a lot, actually. And certainly what I've learned through him is that these children, they're here to guide us and lead us, and he'll call me up on things, and I'll look at that thing and think, oh crumbs, that's a place where I've been programmed through my education or through my culture. And so he helps bring that to life for me. And as one of the reasons, well, probably the main reason, I want to create a better place for children and for adults, their parents, their carers, where everyone can be a community of like-minded people, really.
It's really beautiful what you've both shared so far. And perhaps the next step is just to allow people to understand this sort of shared vision or this shared idea of community or collaboration, or what is it that you're seeing that's different, or what is it that you're bringing into the now through your collective vision? Because I feel like you're both sharing how you've got to this point, and so then what is that point exactly? Does that make sense?
Yep. So the big picture is, as I said earlier, the new earths where everything is connected. So it's people living in communities. So within the community, you may have somebody who's good with wood, somebody good with water, somebody who understands construction of off-grid, how to live, how to gather your rainwater and how to do that. And through teaching the young people these, and adults, anybody who's been isolated by society is welcome. That's the idea, is welcome to learn. But we also know that when you create a safe space, these uniquely gifted beings, children, adults, young adults, will bring down the it's not even the new, is it? It's what we've been used to in other lifetimes, in other realms.
Yeah.
So bring the old skills, so how we used to live, merge them with the new, and create heaven on earth.
Yeah, that's so aligned with what I saw when I was speaking of a new paradigm of education. I didn't even have words for what I saw, and I kept tapping into this ancient wisdom, and I'm like, is a new paradigm ancient? How do I describe what it is that I'm seeing, what I'm feeling? And it was, to put it into words, like, I guess, connection. So connection to all, like connection to earth, connection to presence, connection to each other. And so the old paradigm of us, being on a hamster wheel, or, doing all these kind of these things, like even this morning, like I went to just buy a little package of cake for my daughter, And I was thinking, wow, here I am racing around. Here I am like in a line thinking, oh, please hurry up. Like, and here I am saying, I want to create a new earth that's like all of this stuff that's not. And I'm still doing it, right? I'm still really human. I'm still going through my own process around that. But what I'm finding is the stillness of the earth is waking us up to be more present, to be more still. It's not that we need to do anything. It's just naturally happened. And that really happened through the pandemic. That was like the beauty of the pandemic, right? Like all of these amazing people like yourselves and so many other people, like people in their homes, like, you know, maybe they don't even have a massive vision, but everybody has been waking up in some form, you know, whether it's small, whether it's large. And I know for sure that this is the start or the seeds of what is coming. And, you know, these children and then the next children and the next children. And it's not that the ego or the I has to do anything, even though I wake up every day excited, like what else is there to do? Sometimes it's the opposite. It's like, okay, what can I be? Or how can I just be in presence or be in happiness? Or, you know, these simple things that we can also describe maybe in a moment for maybe in an educational perspective, like how the form of education is changing and things like that as well. I feel like you've got something to say though, Julie. Did you want to share something first? Oh, I can see you ready to share.
Oh, well, just within all this, multidimensionality is key for us, the whole multi-dimensional aspect. And but first, I just wanted to share one of the channelings we did. It always sticks in my mind, and it popped in my mind this morning as well. It's in a beautiful green field, a tree with rainbow-coloured leaves, and underneath, children were jumping up and down with joy, really excited, and then like a big explosion, like almost from the sky, like confetti. All different symbols, but golden symbols, all different symbols, and they all jumping up to take which one they wanted and which one they needed. And for me, that's just like creating a space. Like part of our vision is creating that space which is still and joyful and peaceful, and that's the space where these children can feel safe and then actually reach for their own gifts and, oh yeah, that one's mine, I can do this, I can do that, and just have that real ability to just stretch out and be themselves. So yes, I wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's the perfect image of what I was feeling. I was feeling the joy. Yeah. In our book, actually, I use the analogy of a rainbow quite often because it kept feeling like this rainbow portal that was coming through my consciousness. I'm like, how do I describe a rainbow in a way? And you can describe it in so many ways. And I love how you've shared that vision. And really, it just comes back to bringing more joy on earth, however we can, you know, whether we're going to be able to see these dimensions or whether we are just here grounded on earth and we want to feel happy inside, you know, while we look at the ocean. It's all collective consciousness, right? Like depending on where we're coming from with it all. So it's really beautiful. I had a question as well, just around like neurodiverse children, because you both have had experience with this, if you want to give it that term. And how has your experience or your wisdom and your children's experience and their wisdom kind of guided you with knowing that what they needed was more intuitive work or more, I don't know, for example, Julie, your child is a gifted artist and I see now you're an artist. So I think maybe he's guided you. That's just my assumption. But like, could you give me some examples like that, if that makes sense?
So he's, what can I say? He's very, when I say uniquely gifted, he's got different, very open, different ways of looking at things, very sensitive. And yes, he has taught me a lot, and I knew from quite young on he didn't like too much structure, definitely not time pressure. What's time? You know, why do I have to adhere to time? Activities that he does in school. Why do I have to learn spellings? Was the first question on homeschooling day number 1, and I just thought, yeah, actually, why do they learn spellings? You know, so he challenges things and needs this intuitive approach, and I wasn't, for many years, I wasn't getting, you know, I had a deep relationship with him, but I felt that I was failing him somehow, that I wasn't able to give him what he needed, and that's this more intuitive approach, this being in nature, and this idea of connection and grounding. And I realized he needed to feel grounded and safe, especially at nighttime, because that was a time for him when he might see things from different realms and not understand what he was seeing. And that's why we started, I think, doing these resources for children to help them and parents, because it can be a bit mind-boggling if you're on your own pathway to, you know, to becoming awakened, and you're not quite sure what you're sort of faced with almost. So that was very much our, you know, these resources came down to us to help, to be concrete help, you know, that help that makes sense for children and for their caregivers as well.
Yeah, so it's really beautiful. I think it's on your website. I've seen some of your channeled work, and they're really stimulating, eye-opening, full of joy, full of love. And I guess it's going to guide children in all different ways, and adults. Myself, when I looked at them for the first time, I was just like in awe of like what I saw. And you also have made cards as well that is also channeling this wisdom. Is that right? Like, do you hear me?
Yep. Yes, yep. So we've got our avatar card. So those were the first things that came through, and it's a communication tool. Speaks through energy. Children who use them, we've had children use them when we've been at shows, and just make stories with them, and they feel the energy of them. They're four different types of cards. They're like goddess cards, which can help children and adults call in certain energies. So if you need courage or protection, you just need that extra boost. They're the elementals, which Karen channeled from the sanctuary, so bringing wisdom, connection, that you know, love for the earth as well, and also the cosmic symbols, which I channeled about 7 years ago now, but only recently painted, helping with different aspects of healing and giving you the sovereignty to help yourself release things or move forwards or gain clarity. And then the last category is the aspects of nature, so things like twigs, tents, which sounds a bit bizarre, but these are cards that children can use to communicate directly, saying, I need to feel more rooted in family life, or I need you to protect my energy field. And we had one father and son at one of the shows that we were at, and son was playing with the cards. Father was a little bit, he was sat on the side, a little bit not sure what to do. And then his son came and handed him a card, gave him a hug, said, I love you, and then walked away. And that was fine. The children don't have to explain their choices. And the card he chose was the tent, which is protect your child's energy field. So that's what he was asking his dad to do. And he didn't have to explain that in words. You know, that was explained to his father through that card, through the energy of it. And they just make stories up with it. And we had two girls, didn't we, Karen, who were using crystals.
And we're starting to do some research with schools, so giving them to special educational needs teachers and teaching assistants to use. I've got a friend who's training to be an art therapist, so she's taken them on her placement, and they're being used in the way that the children just naturally use them. We're not prescribing how to do it, and they're just picking the cards and telling a story and having fun.
Wow. I was about to say that would be so powerful for people to use in schools, in homes. And I can imagine as you develop what the children are responding, that more will be channeled through as well. And that it's just really important to have this way of sharing and communicating, and to normalize that as well, like that we don't just need to read and write or do maths problems. That yes, we have art at school, we have sport at school, but hey, what about, you know, understanding not only, you know, what is the card, but what is the feeling of the card, what does it mean, and how to do that. And I also think there's a place for educators and parents to also embody that themselves, so they can be a space holder and understand that, because maybe if they're not yet open or awake, how can they really fully understand what their child needs from the card? They may understand a piece of it, but not the full embodiment of it. So I love this. I love it so much. I can see them like across the world, all of these cards, you know, not just because it's like we want to sell cards. It's nothing to do with that. It's like we want to open the hearts of children. We want to awaken the hearts of families, and we want to like, my body's like fully open with this. Like we want to, it's our birthright to know this information. And that is bringing in all these different aspects of learning. Like learning is not just, as I said, this one mold. It's like this greater dimensional mold. You know what I'd love to know more about is this idea of, you know, 5D consciousness, or this idea of other dimensional consciousness, which I'm still embodying and still learning myself. But I really see the new paradigm of education as this place, or this where people are kind of learning in different dimensions. People are able to communicate without needing to actually speak. There's an unspoken world. And could you share something to help me or help people understand what it is?
Yeah, so our vision of communication is not necessarily spoken English. In the schools or in the sanctuary, there will be people of multiple cultures, and everybody learns to speak the same languages. I see people using sign language. I see people using light language, psychic communication, I can't remember the word, telepathy. Telepathy, yes. See, don't use words, but
yeah.
The sense is that communication is going on everywhere between all of us all the time. And the more people open themselves up to a different way of communicating, then everyone can access their multidimensional selves. And we've started, Julie and I channel most mornings, connect with whoever. We can expand on that if you like, but we download resources which usually have light language symbols. There's to access more people's differences, we do an audio version as well, a meditative version and a talking version. Some fabulous images like the one behind Julie there, that's the vision of the curriculum, for want of another word.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the 7 pillars. So each of those pillars was we downloaded, like as Karen said. I can run through them if you like.
I'd love
is our
to.
sort of
Can you feel my heart is like this?
Yeah.
please.
This is our multidimensional curriculum for want of a better word. So pillar 1, which is just balancing on my head at the moment. So that's the part where there's a sacred connection with nature and the elements. So that's the main focus of that particular pillar. That's a deep connection with nature and sort of relearning lost skills, interaction with the elements. The elements are very important, and the spheres within that sphere is light language for each of the elements. So the elements, and then food forest, permaculture, looking at water capture and storage, but then also allowing the children space to think, okay, can we capture water in a different way, and to bring through new technologies or new ways of doing things, you know, in partnership with the land, really, and without harming the land. And then there's all sorts as well about healing the land, sacred geometry, making sacred shapes in the gardens, all that, which is all integrated within that. So there's connecting with the elementals as well. So that's all, you know, that's all within that. And within a community as well, I could do food swaps, donate food, sell food. So that idea of real integration. And then the second one, which is the one to my left, That's sacred language and communication.
Is that the red or the purple? Sorry, because
that's the purple one.
The purple
yes.
one. Okay, I was looking at the red. Okay, thank you.
All right. So that's the purple one. And so this is a way of looking at communication, like Karen said, verbally, non-verbally, like language around the table, that sort of things, eating lunch, just all that, opening up to that communication, telepathy as well, sign language, and just encouraging that communication, normalizing communication with the cosmic realms, you know, for things to be downloaded, or visions, meditations, and all that within creative language, creative activities, and creative expression. You communicate how you wish, you know, whichever medium you wish to communicate in. So it's just encouraging that, working with crystal consciousness, and all those sorts of things. So the third one, which is the one below that of the infinity symbol, so that is alchemy. So that's looking at the scientific process, but also the energetic process. So I think that's quite exciting, looking how things can change from one state to another scientifically. And again, maybe prompting some downloads of new ways of doing things, or new materials, or new properties. And then just the energetic process, the manifestation, energy weaving, that sort of thing. And Karen and I were saying earlier, wouldn't it be great if you could just get to a stage where we can manifest something, manifest it, and it arrive immediately, sort of, totally, as is often the case in other realms, you know, just so, and everything within a heart-centered approach and in the highest light. And then the one below that is the cosmic heart. Oh, so that's about connection and healing. And that one actually is one of our avatar cards. That's the rainbow heart for there. So all about as well, connecting with nature, the healing power of nature, herbal remedies, connecting with each other, with the elementals, helping children to ground, helping these star children to ground into this earth, so that's easier for them to they feel safe to bring down or to do what they're here to do, and just reawakening healing gifts. So I can sort of imagine children going to healing from other children. So one child does crystal healing or sound healing or different sorts of healings, and they all share and they all connect. So that's the cosmic heart. And then the fifth one is the ankh to the side of me. That's there. Yes. So that's one of the cards as well, the cosmic painting. So this is reclaiming gifts and talents. So this is a bit like that image I saw of the tree, when children reaching up and grabbing, you know, sort of taking what's theirs. It's just building that self-confidence, saying you are who you are, you're valued, you're loved, you know, you bring down what you're here to bring down, and holding that safe space for them to do that. And then the other one, that's the kind of white one. So that is expansion and multidimensionality. So again, there's themes of star travel, time travel in there, the connectivity of all things, multidimensional work, children sharing tools, receiving tools. We've downloaded some tools for this as well. Just a whole process of giving and sharing for the multidimensional work. And the last one at the top is that's our fire, element of fire, light language. So that is protection and power. So with that one, we look at planetary energies, or that can spin out to look at goddess energies, or wherever it takes, looking at how things impact on the earth, how things impact on us, maybe how some energies challenge the children, and how that they gravitate towards some types of energies, you know, the karma, maybe karma stiller energies, and just looking at ways to relax, looking at their energy management, how they can keep their protection up, what they do, what tools they have, what tools they can share. And so, I mean, at the heart of it all is obviously this connection with each other, with the different realms, different dimensions, but also this connection with Earth provides that grounding so that children can feel safe, and then they can blossom and reveal their talents. But that feeling safe within that community, and helping with communication, obviously in the transition times, children are still going to schools and, mainstream schools, and it's that transition time as well, helping these star children navigate that emotions, intense emotions, or the experiences that they come up against day to day. So that's where our resources, that's why we, our heart is in our resources as well, that offers that help while this transition period is happening.
That's amazing. My body was in tingles. Like, there's so much information there to absorb.
Yes.
Yes. It's really a profound curriculum. It's just like, almost, if you want to use a word, a school within itself. And I think it would take time for each of those pillars to embody. I noticed my body then could take probably 3, and then after that I noticed I needed a space from it. Like,
yes,
I can imagine it's a learning and an unfolding for families and for parents, and it's really, I'm in awe of this. Like, it's just really amazing. This could go in so many different directions, like an online school, a grounded school, as you're saying, bringing them into mainstream schools if they still exist, which I think all of that is going to eventually change. But at this moment, as you're saying, we're in this transitional period where it's like, we're still here, we're still grounded on the earth, and we are here as humans, right? So we're still here to do our gifts on earth, but this is just extra wisdom that we can bring through ourselves to be able to be the best humans we can be as well. Is that kind of what you mean as well? I'm trying to bridge it between both realities, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's also bridging, it's quite a void between sometimes the parents and the child. We find it quite easy to connect with the child, and they connect with us quite easily because you're just connecting at the soul level. But the parents who maybe feel the need to put their child in a box, and if it hasn't got a box and can't be controlled, it can be quite threatening. Them, I suppose, seeing what we have or sensing what we have to offer. You see it sometimes at mind, body, spirit shows we go to share what we have, and some people will go to the other side of the room to avoid to avoid us, and others will come and say, you've got the highest vibration in the show. It's like it's all a question of resonance.
100%. And what you're doing is only bringing more joy and peace and love to humanity, and that's really what I believe is what we're here to do. We're born in that state, and I believe that being in that state is all of our divine missions. Everything else we're doing is just bonuses. And it's I don't even know what to say. I'm just like totally in awe of this wisdom and this technology that you can see and channel and create. It's just, it's I don't even know what to say. It's totally a new paradigm of education. It's and I can see there's more and more coming. It's just like the start. It's like, it's your gift to humanity, is this wisdom that you're sharing with us, and there's going to be more and more of this coming, just because that's naturally what your gift is to do. So I'm really in awe, and I'm really thankful for that, for our children and for everybody.
Such an honor, isn't it?
Yes,
it's an honor to be, we're the vessels, the channels to hold the space. That's what we feel we're here to do. It's the children or the young people will be teaching themselves and others and sharing, because we've both been teachers in mainstream kind of situations, and there's quite a lot of unlearning you have to do to embrace this. What we find so we channel every day, and we quite often find you open yourself up to channel, as you know, but sometimes the human brain gets in and wants to make sense of what we're bringing through, and in the dimension we're in at the moment, none of it's logical, is it? Not much of it is logical. It's quite hilarious.
Even coming down to like punctuation in some of the stories.
I know.
And grammar. It's like, well, that's not right grammar.
Yeah.
It's the energy behind it. Okay. So
yeah, I hear you, and I feel that is the way that well, education is happening that way now, but people will be seeing it more and more in the future, which is the now, of this form of education that we were just describing. And it's just amazing to meet people like yourselves that have that gift, and for everybody else to know that they all kind of have a place as well, like, whatever that place is within this education and society of the world, and to be able to find that gift is just so beautiful. What else did I want to ask you? There's so many questions I had. I wanted to ask you about the sanctuary, Karen. Could you go in and share a little bit about that? Because that's really beautiful, what I've been seeing.
Yeah, it's at the moment it's a 14 acres of almond farm, almond trees, olive trees, carob, centered around a dried up barranca or a riverbed, which is the barranc the Lop, so the wolf ravine. And my neighbor there has wolf, so it's gorgeous. The energy there of the wolf is incredible. So we're in the very early stages of making it habitable. So that means everything's off grid. We have solar panels. I'm living in a horse truck when I'm there. So waiting to gather the resources to rebuild or to build a home or a house. But everything will be outside. So there'll be an outside kitchen. I don't know, you've probably seen images of the Green School in Bali that has this fabulous circular building, which is like the hub of the community. And I see that on one of the almond fields, and it's a bit like seeing spaceships landing, but I can see these structures and where they need to be, and I can see how the land wants the water to flow, but I don't have the technical understanding of how to actually create that. So it's connecting with the people who've got the practical skills with the vision and the knowledge of the climate. Definitely I can see a food forest that will feed, hundreds, not hundreds, but there's enough land there to feed hundreds of people. But within it, there's a sacred space that's a sacred healing space where it's where I suppose I go to channel meditations to connect with the elemental realms. The trees talk to me. They tell me what they need. They tell me if they need pruning or if they need water, or that we need green manure. We need you to plant this here, there, and everywhere. The trouble is I'm between England and Spain, so I can't do as much as I would like to there. But that's the idea of it being a community. And there's a community of sort of the off-gridders who meet and exchange surplus produce. We go to each other's farms and have working parties to help with construction. So we've already got the bigger infrastructure, I suppose, of a supportive group, and it's multicultural, multinational. There are more spiritually awake people that I've met there than I have met in the UK, oddly. Well, I don't know if it is oddly, really, but it's a very special place, and that energy connects with places like Glastonbury, Avalon, the chakras of the earth feel a connection with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm following the vision along with you, and I'm imagining so many people there. Like I was just feeling into Australia, for example. a lot of people have stepped away from mainstream schools now in Australia, and they're starting to build and create their own schools. Like communities of families are coming together, and you know, parents are becoming educators. They are educators anyway, right? But people are just all kind of finding their place in their role. So I was just imagining this type of energy that you're imagining in my own context of Australia. So people are all there as a community, all kind of just with their place. So it's just when that moment is right, okay, community, come, and everybody will come. You'll have lots of people wanting to be there, you know, like thousands, I can imagine. And especially if there's a school, there's a place for the children, and possibly even medical, like would need to share medical resources. Like there's a whole kind of almost new earth society I can see as well. And it's real, it's already happening. Like I've already been seeing it like right now at this moment. So it's already there, and I can just see more and more. And then adding in all of these other elements of technology that you were sharing, Julie, which all comes back to just nature anyway. Like, so it's actually, it's actually just, it's so remarkable. I'm so in awe, and it's just amazing that you've already got the seeds and the steps there, and it's just happening, right? So
it's awesome. And the school were just waiting for the right, well, the money, but also the right building to land, aren't we? It's there's this sense that it's hovering up there in the ether, but where are you going to land?
How are you going to land that way?
Wow, that's amazing. So what else do I feel to ask you? There's just so many things. So we've already kind of spoken about the vision of a new paradigm, but I always ask the podcast guests, like if they could just describe their vision. And I feel like we have shared a lot about vision, but if you could both just share a bit more about your vision of a new paradigm of education, or whatever you want to call it, new earth, whatever you wish to call it.
Yeah, do you want to go first, Julie?
Yeah, so I suppose for me, it's like education is life is education. It's not put in a single box. It happens within a context, a community, just like you were explaining in Australia, these communities that have come together, working together, sharing skills. So for me, it's all happens within that kind of context, that freer, more heart connected, a real heart connected context. People, and I always remember the saying, it takes a village to raise a child, it doesn't take a person. And I think that's really, really key here, that children, young adults, they need different people, different energies, people with different skills. So I for me, it's just more of a collaboration, like a circle, non-hierarchical. Everyone's got their own place, their own skills, and their own in a joyful, peaceful energy. It's beautiful. That's exactly what I channeled when I was writing the book. Was the circle? It was the first image I saw. It was like this circle that was moving, but it was like always coming back to a circle. And that's what I downloaded it as, was okay, it needs to be like it's a space for everybody, a co-creative space, and it's got its own life. We don't have to be feeding it, it's already there. We just have to be the holders with it. So thank you. And what about you, Karen?
Well, it'll be the same. We have a shared vision, but for me, it's there are no boundaries as such. You called it limitless education. To me, it's lifelong. We're all students, we're all learners, and we're all teachers, we're all mentors. It's just in what context, what's the topic. So, you know, somebody could, a child could teach me how to do something, and I could teach them to do something, and then they could mentor somebody else. It's I think we need to move away from all these restrictions, all these boundaries, all these job roles, where people identify themselves with their job. We are humans, or we are multidimensional beings having this human experience.
I like that. Yes.
This is what I'm here to share, and this is, you know, everybody is free to share what they come here.
Yeah, I noticed your energy when I said that I am human. I knew there was something else you wanted to share, an extra added element. I was like, what does she want to say about that? I knew there was more. There you go. I always say I'm human to bring myself back, because otherwise I can always be like wanting to travel around different places.
Yes.
It's always like, I am human. It just brings me back. So that's where that came from.
It's really funny. Yeah. When we, so every morning when we connect with source, or whoever you want to call it, one of us is usually the channel, and the other does whatever, like we'll go to the Akash and find tools that we hid away or have been hidden away, or we'll go to a chamber of secrets, or we go to the halls of Amenti. We go to all sorts of different places, and today was the first time we swapped roles, wasn't it? I've been the antenna or the channel up until now, and we swapped today, and it's so difficult to park the human to the side so that the multi-dimensional aspect can come through.
There's always like a voice in your head, which is, what does that mean? I want to analyze this. I want to analyze that. It's like, no, get your mind out of the way, get your human out of the way. But that can be difficult.
Yeah. So this brings me to another question. So people who are really inspired and want to like learn more about embodying an avatar within themselves, do you share this wisdom, or do you guide people on experiences so they can learn this for themselves?
Yes, so we're both energy healers anyway, or counselors. So as well as the resources we've already created, we offer one-to-one sessions with people to help them step into their avatar or become their sovereign selves. And we have courses. Julie has a course to help the parent and child connect. Do you want to expand on that, Julie?
Yeah, so it's to help parents or caregivers connect with their uniquely gifted children or child, their star child, with very practical elements as well. So there's the energy component of helping them with this energy connection, but also we have our activations for sleep and protection and emotions, 3 quite big things that parents may struggle with star children. So those activations help the child and the parent sort of come together and work together to find a way to kind of, for example, for the sleep, to break the pattern, the cycle of not sleeping very well, or having to have somebody co-sleep with them, the child. So those are part of the course, but also there's that one-to-one energy work, working with the parents, so then they can go, and so they're empowered to work with their child, to be with their child, to listen to their child. And like we say, you know, your child is guiding you and teaching you as well. So helping them to open up to listen to what their child is saying.
It's really amazing. And this is just another question from the mind. I'm just thinking of what I might think of as a parent. Like, so how do you know if your child is a star child? And do you believe all children are born as star children?
So so obviously we believe that star children are high vibrational beings, who are bringing down something from their cosmic lives down to earth. So parents, it's using your intuition, and if you're feeling blocked, then maybe going to a professional to get yourself down the path of how you can work with your energy, how you can clear your energy, how you can step into your own sovereignty. And just, I mean, a star child will be usually sensitive. They tend to be sensitive, very open, loving, often labeled as being on the spectrum, maybe gifted in a particular area, maybe music, being creative. They may show, they may be telepathic, they may show some sort of very close ties with animals, that sort of thing. So it's different for each child, and each child will show that differently. They might talk about invisible friends, they might be in tune with what's happening in the unseen world, have difficulty sleeping, they see things in their rooms, or they see unseen things to others, different dimensions. So it's listening to what they're saying actually thinking about, not dismissing what they're saying or their dreams, just listening to them. And then what we all do at some point is to seek guidance, just seeking guidance. If you're unsure, use your intuition, sit with it. And then if you need to, seek guidance. And listen, above all, listen to your child, listen to what they're saying.
Yeah, I feel also this aspect of unity consciousness as well. So whilst we can say they're star children, in a way, we don't want to also make labels for that even in itself, right? Children could also be calling in other types of dimensions. Yeah. Maybe it's called something different, or maybe even doesn't have a name, but everything you're sharing is still applying, right, to those types of children. Like you might just look at them all as a consciousness rather than as star children or this children or that.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's just a term we tend to use, but we were all born wide awake, and then very quickly we've potentially been closed down or told, something happens, or we're trained as children to ignore our intuition. It's helping these children or the parents to not shut down that child, allow them to be who they are, what they are.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I'm just grateful to hear your wisdom around this. And of course I've seen documents and things written as this word star children, but it just made me feel into like the children that I've connected with on the world, and I've just seen within each of them something, right? So, and you've just shared that as well, that every child does have that gift, as every human does, and it's just a matter of us being able to switch on that and to see that, and that will evolve as well over time. And the more that we can see and wake up as well, I think.
We're certainly being,
sorry, go.
I was going to say, we're certainly being presented with situations that encourage us to wake up or to hide with what's going on in the world at the moment. Some people are choosing to wake, and others are heads firmly in the ground. It's a process.
And also I feel that's really empowering for our world, because it's making us move into unity consciousness even more than it has ever in any lifetime. I feel when you feel into the collective wholeness, we are all one. That's what I feel and see, beyond any of the stuff that's happening and the people's reaction, whether they're choosing this way or that way or whatever. And it's not my mission or your mission to decide that, right? We're just here as our own conduits to help what we believe is going to be beneficiary for our children, and those people who are wishing to wake up with us, they're welcome as well. Everybody's welcome. It's not, there's no segregation at all. So I just wanted to share a little story. Carrie Jesselo, our author from The New Paradigm of Education, in her chapter, she shares what you were talking about, Julie, with her own child and her own experience of her own child being able to see different things. She's an intuitive herself, so she can also see things as well. So I just found that, it's really empowering to also hear your story as well. And and she's told me different stories about on their land that her child can feel and see energies and know of the spirits that have been there. And it's really amazing that she's been, I guess that's why that she's the mother of this child, because she's also able to be a placeholder and see with that child what's going on. So So I feel like we're moving into the closing part of our podcast. So I'd love to offer space for either of you just to share any services or anything else that you wanted to share before we parted ways.
So we've already talked about, we offer one-to-one sessions. We have lots of resources that we've channeled already, booklets, stories that have come through to us with the light language, and activations and courses. So there's lots coming through all the time. Do you want to add any more, Julie?
Just that if people want to connect with us, it's been wonderful connecting with you, Monique, and on this podcast. And if people want to connect with us, if they could contact us, that would be wonderful. It'd be great to connect with others, definitely.
Yeah, we'll place everything in the links below, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people wanting to know more information and to know about these amazing channeled courses that you have and these cards, and there's just so much. I'll be coming back to you for sure for more and more information and wisdom.
Wonderful.
Sharing together, you know, as a
Brilliant.
collective, you know, a co-creative space. Yeah, so
Fabulous.
thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us.
for holding the space.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Monique.
Thank you so much. I feel myself like in awe, and I feel like there's so many more like parts of wisdom to come through, but at the same time, you know, it's enough time for this moment together, and maybe we can co-create in the future something else.
Yeah. Yes.
Fabulous.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
And
Bye-bye.
yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in to a new Paradigm of Education podcast today. So I hope that you're feeling inspired. I hope that you're feeling the love and the joy within your hearts through this transmission of this podcast today, because I know certainly my heart is expanded and exploding, even just looking at this beautiful collective piece that Julie has made, this dimensional piece. It's just opening different parts of myself. And I invite you to take the time, if you're on the podcast, jump onto the YouTube channel and have a look at these, and just allow yourself to sit in a still place and just look at each of these dimensional balls, and just allow space for them to enter you and see what happens. Maybe you can even give us some comments about that as well. I'd love to know. Okay, thank you everybody. Namaste.